Hi dear friends, today in this video I will try to show you step-by-step guide how to integrate ServiceNow with the Microsoft Entra ID to achieve the single sign-on and use multi-factor authentication during the user login process. I will use the ServiceNow developer instance, which is free, and you can create it and test some of the features of the ServiceNow. I'm also will use Microsoft Entra ID free license, which will give us ability to integrate our SaaS or on-premise application to the Entra ID without any extra license. I already created the Entra ID tenant and add my custom domain here and created some users for testing purposes. So as you know, the ServiceNow is a leading ITSM solution in this area, and it's provide us with many features which we can use to provide some our IT services to end users. So let's start. This video will take some time, and sorry for my English first. I will try to explain all step much easier as I can. So to achieve the single sign-on with Entra ID, we need to install a multi-provider SSO plugin inside the ServiceNow. To do that, we need to go to all and search for the plugins. In plugins page, we need to search for SSO in the search field and find a multi-provider single sign-on installer and install it. It will take some time to installing all necessary feature and dependency. I will pause the video and return to the recording after the installation will complete. Okay, installation is completed. So we can continue. And now we need to enable single sign-on on that plugin. Let's search for a multi-provider SSO and use properties. So here we need to enable all three of these checkboxes. To enable multi-provider SSO, first of all we need to enable account recovery. So let's enable account recovery for my admin account. I will use the Microsoft Authenticator to scan the QR code and use 6-digit code from the application. Let's enable debugging option and return to the plugin properties. And now we can enable the SSO plugin. Also, we need to enable auto importing users from the identity provider and enable debug logging. Clicking save. Let's search for the again multi-provider identity provider. In this page we don't see any IDP from the Microsoft. Let's create it. But before we create the IDP, we need to go to Microsoft Entra Admin Center, Application and Enterprise Application. We need to create Enterprise Application for the ServiceNow. We can create it manually or add it from the store. Let's add it from the store. We are searching for a service now. You can give any name to the application and then click the create button. In the application window on properties, we need to enable assignment required to set no, because we need to give the ability to all our users to use this application. Without these settings, we will need add users manually to application and or use some dynamic distribution group, which will require the additional paid license. But we don't have any paid license. For this reason, we are open this application for all users. Click Save button, and on single sign-on page, we need to create, configure the SAML application properties. At the basic SAML configuration, click Edit. We need to provide some URLs here. This URLs is our ServiceNow instance URLs. So let's copy the URL from the dev instance and paste it to the necessary fields. This the reply URL and sign-on URL also. We need to add some suffix here also, what consumer do and nav page do. Okay, all other line can be leave empty. Saving the configuration. Okay, good. And from this page, we can also set up ServiceNow from the Entra ID. For that, we need to provide the tenant developer instance name, admin user credential. But unfortunately, we can't do this from here right now because we already activated MFA and we can't provide the MFA digits to this window. But if you are not enabled the account recovery, if you are not using the MFA, it's totally fine to configure this ServiceNow IDP window from the inside the Entra ID. Okay, so let's try. I will provide my admin credentials here and click the configure now. Okay, this indicates that my account is protected by the MFA. So what we can do in this situation, there is a three solution here. We can configure from ServiceNow from this window without the MFA enabled account, or we can configure the IDP from the inside the ServiceNow manually, or we can use some metadata URL to pull information from the Entra ID inside the ServiceNow. Let's use the metadata URL. We are copying metadata URL from this line, and inside the plugin we create new button. Okay, we are using the SAML. And here we need to provide metadata URL in the URL line. After, all necessary field will be populated by the ServiceNow with information from the Entra ID. Okay, so we need to delete this line, single sign out URL, logout URL, and copy identity provider out request to fulfillment failed requirement redirect URL. Also, at the named policy, which we can see the ServiceNow using transient. With this option, we will check for users inside the ServiceNow with Entra ID GUID, but it's not option for now, and we need to change it to some other format. So let's add some mistake here, and all other option can be left as is. So in user field, we are using email to check the ServiceNow with identity of the email. Single sign-on script, we use default script for that. In the user provisioning, we also need the auto provisioning user. So when our users log into the ServiceNow with the Entra ID credential, inside the ServiceNow sys user table, this information we need to create new users. Okay. In the future, we will use this ServiceNow user to assign license or give them some roles. Let's check this checkbox also and make a test connection. Okay. At the first window, Entra ID say that I'm not supporting this format of name ID policy. So we need to use the unspecified policy for that. Okay. To be able to log in with our UPN or email format here. And after, we need to save our configuration and test connection. I'm using my Entra ID credential. No, sorry, no. And after testing the connection, we see the few errors, but main error here that in user line. What does that mean? We're using the user field to identify user ID field to identify user inside the ServiceNow. But ServiceNow say that I can't find any user with this user ID inside the ServiceNow. Let's look at the users list. And we see the amount of users inside our user table, and we can't find any user with, let's say, this kind of URL, okay, email address. Let's create it manually. We also need to populate email field for the user. It's very critical to have the user with email attribute same inside the ServiceNow and Entra ID. Let's save it. And test connection again. Okay. In this try, we see that the subject confirmation is validated and ServiceNow find all the user inside the user table. Let's activate this IDP provider. And here we can see the IDP provider is configured. Let's set this IDP as a default. Okay. So what we achieve? We created user manually inside the service now. But if what we can do if we have hundreds, thousands of users, we can create it manually, but it's very hard. Okay, if you have hundreds, thousands of users. So we need to create this user automatically when they are log into the service now. For this, we can use the Entra ID. There is a provisioning option inside the ServiceNow application in the Entra. But this option will require us to provide some, let's say, credential again with basic authentication option. Automatically, basic authentication means that we need to provide some username and password, but we already enabled MFA for account and we can't provide any MFA information in this window. For this reason, we need to use some other steps or other tool. Okay, but if you are not set up MFA for the admin account or use some other account, it's totally fine to use this window to auto create user inside the ServiceNow. Okay, but again, you will need some paid license for this. Okay, otherwise you need to manually give the user access to application and track these all changes here and here. Okay, without the pay license, you every time you need to add users to this list. Okay, but if you have some P1 or P2 license, you can use dynamic groups. Also, you can select all users and groups from the provisioning inside the provisioning window. But we don't have any paid license. Let's use some other tools. For automatic user provisioning, we can use a transformation map and input sets. Okay. Transformation maps is a temporary table inside the ServiceNow, which populated when the users log into the ServiceNow. Okay. After that, ServiceNow use this temporary table to create a user in the sysuser table. Okay. So we can see that the source table, this is created by the ServiceNow for temporary usage. And if you watch to mapping assistant here, we can see the all field inside the our temporary table. Okay, but we can't see here any user information sent from the Entra ID. Okay, so inside the Entra ID application in single sign-on page, there is an attribute at claims properties. Does that mean that when user log into the ServiceNow, all these attributes is sent to the ServiceNow and stored inside the our temporary table. To see this attribute inside the ServiceNow temporary table, we need to successfully log into one-time login to the ServiceNow. Okay, I already manually created Tariel account inside the ServiceNow, and let's use it to log into the system. Okay. We are using login with SSO and providing our Entra ID user information here. and we are successful. Let's return to our transform map, and we can see that all attributes from the Entra ID was sent to this temporary table. Okay. We can delete these attributes. Okay. We need to delete all these attributes and create our predefined attributes for this to send the service during user creation process. Let's say I will create 3 attributes: user principal name, given name, and surname. And we'll use this information during the user creation process inside the ServiceNow. To push these attributes to ServiceNow, we again need to log in with user credential. Log in with SSO. Okay, ready? And now we can search for the, let's say, UPN attribute, given name attribute, and surname attribute. This is a field map, and we can remove all information from this left side and use surname, given name, and UPN. UPN is that mean the user principal name, and inside the Entra ID, user principal name must be the same with the email address. Okay, so we can remove SSO and match UPN with email ID, also UPN with the user ID. First name with the given name, and surname with the last name. Let's save this. Checking. Okay, transform map is ready, but we need to set username attribute as a querysk. We need to set this information to true to achieve the real automatically user provisioning process. And let's check with the validation. And validation is successful. Okay. Inside the ServiceNow, in the sysuser field, sysuser table, sorry, we can use the number to check the end user information. And let's check for the accounts, our custom account. Okay. And now let's log in with the some other account. I will use the Clark Kent account for login. Also login with the SSO CK And I need to set up MFA for the Clark Kent account. I will pause the video and return after the setup process will complete. Okay, MFA setup process was completed, and let's try to log in the ServiceNow. Okay, good. Successfully log in to the ServiceNow, and let's search again. And this time we can see that the Clark Kent account was automatically populated, created, and all necessary field was populated automatically. User ID, email, also first name and last name attribute were created automatically for us. And we do not need every time create the user inside the ServiceNow after we created it, the Entra ID. Okay, but in this page, we are not automatically redirecting to the Microsoft authentication page. Okay, so we need to every time log in with SSO. To fix that, we can use automatic redirection function here. Okay, so set auto redirection IDP. After we set auto redirection IDP, checkbox is check it, and we need to save configuration. And when users open our ServiceNow page, they are automatically redirected to the Microsoft authentication page. Okay, and they can provide their credential, or if they are already authenticated in this page with the different application, they can bypass this page, okay, and go to directly welcome page. Okay, one last thing. When we are opening our IDP URL, our ServiceNow URL, we are automatically redirecting to the Microsoft authentication page. But what if we need to log in with the local ServiceNow account, okay, to recover, let's say our IDP configuration is broken and we can't use the IDP to log in the ServiceNow. For this, we can use the side door option. What is a side door? This is just the URL, okay. We are going to our instance URL and adding login.do option to the end as a suffix. With this option, we are able to log in with the local account from the ServiceNow instance, and we can use I will use my credential and provide 6-digit code from the authenticator, and we'll be able to access the ServiceNow instance if my IDP is not accessible. Thank you very much for watching. Please share video, like, and subscribe. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.